What's up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own new review of Love and Marriage Detroit. Yes, I'm late, but bear with me. I have no idea how long I'm going to be dealing with this show. I'm trying to stick it out, but it's every episode my mind gets to racing. I get a headache because these men are so problematic, okay? We're back with Anthony getting in all his feelings because someone is clocking him about how severely invested he's in Brandon's marriage. This is all due to Brandon always wanting to call out what Christina doesn't allow him to do. He's always wanting to place her out to be embarrassed because of what she doesn't allow him to do. He's not getting his way about going to the club, doing this, doing that, presenting how he's not further along in his career than he thought he would. And everybody always wants to gang on Christina. That why won't he do this? What's the reason why he can't do this? As if you guys didn't hear her before as to why she doesn't trust him to go to the club. She doesn't trust him to behave. Now, as far as he's trying to use that she's holding him back, she's preventing for him to reach his full potential. No, what it is she's not allowing for you to use your so-called dream to cheat, so-called dream to make her look crazy, as if she's never supporting you when all she's asking for is communication and trust. Since her trust was betrayed, yeah, you have to understand why she's having a very hard time to just let him go off and do what he wants to do. Because he doesn't think with his brain, he thinks with his penis. Thing about it is, though, Mr. Bravo, you all up in here defending him as if Christina needs to get with the program, that he needs to go to the club because that's business. The thing about it is, y'all weren't talking about business the last time. Brandon was trying to avoid looking at a woman's ass because he can't be trusted, and y'all just witnessed him lie to his wife about not being in the club when he was in the club. Now, you can say the club is a place of business. The club isn't the only place of business, okay? The thing about it is Brandon has a history of not behaving like a married man and has a history of not acting like he's a husband and a father. He acts like he's a big-time producer out here hoeing around in the streets. It sounds like to me, all the men are co-signing his bullshit. All the men are automatic cheerleaders, spokesperson, are able to vouch for his whereabouts because they know he's about to do something fucked up, and they'll never call him out on what he's doing wrong. They'll save all that energy towards the woman. Is this how it's going to end every episode? Is Brandon going to gaslight his wife to make it seem as if he can't move further along in his career because she's holding him back? Because he wants to say, you guys are jogging. No, you guys are sprinting and I'm jogging. I'm just like, Brandon, please, you need to take accountability and responsibility as to why you're not where you are, why you're not reaching your full potential. You're making Christina the scapegoat because of what you're not allowed to do. You want to present it as if these men are just seeing you in shackles. They're just seeing you dwindling down. You're depressed. This man can't go nowhere, when that's complete and utter bullshit. It is not Christina's fault that you're not where you are in your career. It's your fault. I feel like the way you're hesitant about how moving further in your career is because you're feeling guilty. You're not taking accountability and you're not being honest with the way you're moving, and you're expecting for your wife to forgive you, and let go of all the things you have continuously done to hurt her, and she's not letting it go. You're guilty by your own past mistakes. Like, at the end of the day, Brandon, you're your own worst enemy. You are. Now you want to gaslight even more by saying she's trying to present it as a way where she has this perfect marriage, this perfect energy. Perfect marriage, perfect picture. She said that's bull junk. That's bull. It's not about image. It's about me trusting my husband. That's exactly what it is. Okay? Get rid of this man and his man bun. Okay? He looks for ways to embarrass his wife. Then he wants to announce, hey, everybody, just to let y'all know, Christina, she's not insecure. We don't have problems. She's not insecure. Really? Throw the whole man away. Throw him and his man bun out of my face. Now Anthony wants to chime in and see how Brandon has taken embarrassing his wife even further. He says, yo, chill, bro. Chill. That's your girl, man. Chill. No, Anthony. Keep the same energy you've been keeping. Just like the first episode at the anniversary, you calling out that Christina is insecure because Brandon can go out to the club. Brandon is not further along in his career. That's what you said too. You agreed. But now since he's saying that she's insecure out of his own mouth, now you want to be like, that's not right. That's not cool. Miss me? You're defending him against the bullshit when you know for a fact this man be on some bullshit. Christina's not going to take the blame that this man isn't further along in his career. Now everybody's watching them argue. Christina is bearing her heart out as to why he doesn't think he gets support. And she said, are you for real? You don't acknowledge the sacrifices that I've made when I've been at home for the last 7 years raising our 2 daughters? Where's my dreams? Did I put out a collection? Have I sold anything? Have you looked at my designs? Have you said you appreciate me? Have you ever thought about saying, hey babe, you're doing amazing. I think it's time for you to put out your designs. I think it's time for you to put your focus in on your collection. We can work it out for us to handle the kids together. Did you do that? Because Christina said that the first episode where you guys are supposed to be 50-50. And as soon as she said how much sacrifice, how much she has suppressed her own dreams to make sure his dreams can work, to make sure he can put all his focus in on Star Factory, because that's how Christina felt. She felt that he put Star Factory ahead of her and their daughters. He knew he fucked up. When she said that, he said, oh shit, my point isn't going to be a point no more. Yeah, it's not. Because it's just like how it is for a woman. A woman always holds her dreams back to support the man. And it seems like, Brandon, you've had all the support, but not the support where you get to do what you want to do and she doesn't remind you about it, doesn't call you out about it. That's the problem. Now, when Bravo had to be quiet because he didn't know about that, Anthony had to shut up because he's like, oh shit, she has been at home. She has not put out her designs yet, because when you met Christina, she was a fashion designer and an image consultant. She styled your clients. So, yeah, divorce. Divorce. LaToya and Anthony wanted to prevent Christina from leaving, and I'm like, let her go. Y'all have allowed for Brandon and Christina to argue this long, and you allow for your husband, LaToya, to give his 2 cents in, which caused for him to get an argument with a woman that you did not shut down. So now they're trying to remove Brandon from the table. Anthony, who was so happy to be near Brandon, is trying to calm him down. Bravo's next to him. LaToya is trying to calm Christina down. He's crying, acting like he's the victim. She said, it's not my problem, it's you. And you keep saying that I'm insecure. I'm not. I'm very secure. I could have any man I want to, and you know that. That hurt him, because he did not expect for her to hit him back with that. But I don't give a fuck. Because you always want to throw out what she doesn't do for you. She could throw out that you're not the man for her. She could find any man that she wants. So now it's back to the original statement. Like, what about me? What about me? I'm like, please. Brandon felt as though Christina couldn't do no better than him. And now he's trying to act as if she can't find no better. And that it was really low for her to say, oh, you can find another man? I bet. So he's going to continue to manipulate, continue to gaslight her to make her think you can't find nobody better, which is the opposite. I think that since Christina came with a social media presence, her being a fashion designer, image consultant, and content creator, she carried more of a name and carried more of a weight that Brandon had to attach himself to. So when they left the wine event, because it's over, it's done, they're walking, trying to have a conversation. He's in his feelings about how she says she can have any man that she wants to, because she thinks that she can do better than him, which she can. Faye saying that only insecure people say that. No. As far as her being insecure, you made her that way. Hence why she's always questioning you. She's always asking about it, because you have not made her feel secure in her relationship. But I want Christina to get herself back. Get back to what makes her happy and detach herself of wondering what is this man doing every night when he doesn't call her, when she tries to check in on him and he's getting angry and making an argument. I want her to remove herself from that. Get back to her. All right? She brought it up because you spent the entire time making her think she's the problem as to why you cannot move forward in your career. Now, he's acting like he didn't hear anything that she said. He's dismissing her feelings, minimizing what happened, and all he wants is to hear the green light. Can I go to the club? Can I work with this artist? I feel like you always want to use Christina as a scapegoat as to why you don't move along in your career, as to why you can't do the things you want to do without you handling your shit. You're not accountable. He heard nothing. She said, I have given you my support. I don't know what else you want from me. Okay, but you're not understanding where I'm coming from. You have to remember, you're a father and a husband, because he wants you this philosophical bullshit that a man has to go out and make money. A man has to do what has to be done to get money, which means you want to use your big time producer name to cheat, be around all these women in an act of I'm making money and she's supposed to accept it. No, ma'am. I don't care what position you're in. I don't care what job field you're in. A man will cheat with anything that moves, but it's up to the man to trust that he doesn't allow his temptation to ruin that. And Brandon is believing because he's around all these different women, it comes with the territory. No, the fuck it don't. It don't. And you want to keep gaslighting her about how you don't feel loved and appreciated when you come home. And she's like, what do you think I wait up for you till 11 o'clock at night? I'm dead tired. And half the time you don't be warm and fuzzy, so why should I be? Then he wants to ask her, do you want to be with me? He already has 1 foot out the door, okay? He had 1 foot out the door already. He now has 2 feet out the door. He has a pinky left. Like, miss me. So, throwing it in her face, do you want to get married to me or do you want to just get married for the sake of being married? Bullshit. You want the image of being married because of how it makes you look. But they go their separate ways. He takes a walk. She walks inside the penthouse. I don't have time for this. Latoya and Anthony, they're having a conversation about how her event did not go well and that they need to extend an apology to the owner of the event. And she can't understand why this has been happening a lot since the group has started. The anniversary was shot to hell, and now her event, she's tired of it. They cannot always come to an event and it ends with Brandon and Christina arguing. My thing is this, Latoya. The first time it happened, blame your husband, because your husband started the whole thing at the anniversary and Brandon allowed it. Second time, your husband wanted to argue with another woman about how he is solely invested in his friend's marriage and you didn't say nothing. You didn't say nothing. But he's not even thinking about his part. He wants to be supportive of Brandon and Christina's marriage, but that's not the problem. Latoya had her wine event, and it was supposed to be a good success. They had big names there, and it all went to hell because Brandon and Christina was arguing at the same time. Latoya. While it is embarrassing that it always ends with Christina and Brandon arguing, look at how it ignites. Brandon looks for ways to embarrass Christina, and who hops on the bandwagon to make it bigger than it is? Anthony. He does that as well. You need to check Anthony about how he should not be arguing with a woman. He should not have so much to say about his friend's marriage because that's your friend's marriage, not yours. You need to worry about your marriage, not theirs. So Anthony talked about investing in your spouse, and he wanted to throw out to Latoya that he cut a big check to make her wine a success. She had to check him by saying it wasn't just your money. I put in money as well. I have no idea what Anthony is trying to do. Is he trying to be in the same boat as Brandon, as not feeling appreciated of the things that he does to help his wife be successful? I don't know, because he still is subtly pouring out the resentment of Atlanta. And now he wants to say, if it wasn't for my check cut from my company, your wine wouldn't be as it is, which is a bunch of bullshit. Okay, Anthony, you've been on top of every single thing, making sure that everything is all right for the wine, but what are you doing that's important? Okay, you are part of a production company, you own a production studio, but your job is not as demanding as Latoya's job. She's a doctor. So it's the least you could do by being on top of her wine. But I don't know what it is about men or relationships where they want so much to brag about what they've done for you. So in return, you don't get to tell them when they're wrong because of what they've done for you. Now, in all essence, it is none of their business as to what goes on in the marriage between Christina and Brandon. It's not. Now, he wants to tell Latoya, you're thinking about the perfect image like Christina. She said, no, I'm not. It's not about image. It's about a marriage. And if they have issues, we should not be privy to that. They should not be announcing their issues in front of us. It's not our business. Yes, it is not, Latoya, but I'm going to need for you to say that in the scene. I'm going to need for you to either not invite Brandon and Christina to events if Brandon's going to look for ways to embarrass her and your husband's going to jump on the bandwagon. That's all I'm saying, because I want Christina to not always engage in these arguments with Brandon when it ends up her looking crazy, her crying, and Brandon doesn't give a fuck. And the entire time, nobody's comforting her because everybody is automatically yelling at her and blaming her and calling Brandon. So, yes, Latoya, is embarrassing, but call out your husband because he has egged on multiple arguments. He's egged on and instigated a lot of shit between Brandon and Christina, and Brandon has allowed it. Moving on. Colby. Colby has her parents come by to discuss Russell now enrolling into divinity school. Her father, who was a pastor, gave him the green light to enroll, and they have a lot to talk about. Russell came by, took his daughter to a daddy-daughter date so she can have a conversation, and Russell has a desire that maybe the way he went about it wasn't cool, and that maybe her father can clean it up a bit. So talking about Russell enrolling into divinity school, her dad knew about it, wanted to give him the confidence to say that he went to divinity school, but since Colby knows, and apparently he's been gone to divinity school for the past 4 weeks and had no clue about it. Again, not trying to disrespect the Lord's calling, but it still should not be used as a way for you to not communicate with your wife. That's the thing, and it's automatically being presented that what God has a calling on somebody, it doesn't mean that you are bestowed the same respect as God, because God is the end all be all, but I don't like that. Colby is understanding, but a simple conversation, a simple communication should not be second, should not be an afterthought. It should be automatic. She says, I feel like I have the right to ask questions. There's nothing wrong with me asking questions. And then she's telling her parents that Russell is stretched thin, which means he is available to everybody but her and her daughter. They get sloppy seconds. They get the tired Russell. They're getting the last bit of energy from him. And he doesn't even want to pull out more for his wife and his daughter. And she's seen the struggles of her mom and her father when he was a pastor. The duties that he has bestowed upon himself being a pastor, those were more important than him being a family man. And she doesn't want to repeat the same cycle. Now her father is asking her, are you mad about the decision or are you mad about him not telling you? She said both, because of the way that I grew up. Appreciate the upbringing, but struggling behind being a PK was a lot for me. She feels like a marriage is a partnership. And yes, you are the head of household, but that does not mean you get to do what you want to do and I have to go along with it. Like, there should have been a conversation. There should have been a way for us to both give our points in this. But they want to know what would have been her response if he told her about wanting to become a pastor and going to divinity school. She would have said no. Absolutely not, because she do not wish to raise her daughter in a strict-ass household by being a first lady. No. The dad defended Russell to the fullest, because he's not even listening to his daughter's feelings about how hard it was growing up as a PK, because all he hears is a man following his footsteps. And if the man's following his footsteps, then that means that my daughter is not going to have her voice, and I'm okay with that. And it was no point from the mom. The mom repeated the same exact thing, because the mom has already been conditioned into listening to what her husband says, because her husband's a pastor. He knows all. Don't ever question what he says. Don't have a voice in the matter. Just going to agree. No. So telling her she should consider his feelings and then in return he'll consider yours. But her feelings wasn't even considered before. I felt as though her parents were of no help. They were of no help of listening to how she felt. As much as she's trying to explain, I am not comfortable with the way he went about not telling me that enrolling into divinity school and that he wanted to be a pastor, and you knew the whole time. Apparently her father and her mom knew the whole time, didn't say nothing, kept this from her because they wanted to protect Russell about how he wanted to tell her first. What? Russell felt the confidence to come to you, but you kept it from me, your daughter. You couldn't even tell your daughter what was going on. You wanted to keep the secret from her for him? Yeah, no, that ain't gonna work. Not gonna work. Moving on from that, we got Anthony. He's preparing for a photo shoot for a lookbook. And then Brandon gets a FaceTime call from him. He's looking like a sad puppy because he didn't get his way. He's minimizing everything, dismissing what happened at the toys event, blaming on the alcohol, and saying nobody has my back. Everybody is full of shit. And Christina's not helping him reach his full potential. And it's just like, bruh, please spare me. And he has not spoken to Christina since the event. He went to the other crib and he feels like he's separated. Now Anthony is listening to him, telling him that a lot was said, that you don't even remember half of what you said. I feel like he never will. Brandon will never admit to what he said without putting in what someone else said first, or putting in a feeling that he's felt to counteract why he did what he did. Because that's what narcissists do. They will never take accountability for what they've done to harm somebody, but they will always bring out what they said to the other person. Because he doesn't want to accept the reality that Christina is fed up. So the fact that Anthony thinks that this is some way to bond with him, that he's being in a sunken place, is reminding him that when he met with Christina, he was working with an artist that got pregnant and he got depressed. I have a question. What artist got pregnant and what made you depressed? Were you sleeping with this artist that made you depressed? I don't know, because I have never heard of a producer feeling so down and out that an artist got pregnant. I mean, as business-wise, yes, but him personally-wise, him getting depressed, it felt as though you had an emotional connection with this artist. And maybe because she ended up getting pregnant by somebody else and not you, that made you feel away. I have no idea. But you met Christina around that time, and she brought you out of the depressed state, and you became joyful. And the way that Brandon's looking all pitiful and sad is the exact same look that Anthony had when he was living in Atlanta. Because he did ignore his wife when he moved to Atlanta. He made it all about him, building his career and the opportunity for the job. And while she was back at home, struggling with the kids, dealing with work, there was racism at their children's school. There was no balance of her doing that by herself. And he was willing to risk it for a job opportunity. But at the same time, it didn't last long because he was by himself. So the fact that he can understand Brandon's desires and want to build his career at the same time, it sounds like you're making the tough calls, you're making the sacrifices, but you don't want to admit it. Anthony admits he was willing to sacrifice his family for an opportunity to work for Disney. Yes, it would have been a huge opportunity, but he admitted he left his children left behind for it. Now, he's telling him to get back to his wife and get back to the romance, though. I'm just like, okay, Anthony. In this scene, you're telling Brandon that you admitted to leave your wife and your kids behind for a job. And when you came back, you didn't get the same exact support of how you left the first time. And you're still holding resentment to that. And you're now trying to get Brandon, not the green light, but a different way of looking at it, without still holding him accountable. So he did tell Brandon that as much as you don't feel supported, she don't feel supported either. Moving on. Christina's over at her friend's house. Chelsea needs to get styled because she's hosting a brunch. And that means that Christina has to get back into her creative juices, get back to her designer game, because she had a collection she's been wanting to do for a while now. And she's putting her energy back into that because growing up, she's always had a love of fashion. Especially in the church household, everybody loved to dress to impress. And she loves and breathes fashion, especially vintage fashion. So then they talk about the blow up at the event between her and Brandon. And have they talked? No. Because she's had to defend herself against him, his homeboys, and she wished that he would have defended her a little bit more, but no. It was embarrassing. I had to defend my husband. I had to defend myself against my husband and his friends. We got to the penthouse. He didn't want to talk about it. He went back to the other place. I don't know where and she says she's a fighter. You know, she looks for ways to still keep her marriage intact because she feels like we've had our worst, but we've never had something that we've never came back from. So seeing that her husband could be looking for a way to leave, could be looking for a way to not want to save their marriage, she wants to be the one to fight. And if he wants to leave, she will not fight him. She wants her daughters to experience the full loving household of two parents. That's what she had. But just because that was how it was for you, Christina, you don't have to suffer to have the same two-parent household for your daughters if you're not happy. The fact that you want to fight for your marriage, you want to look for ways to save it, and you're the only one that's fighting, he's not fighting, I think you need to just let it go. I mean, trust me, I'm all about fighting for your marriage if the fight is on both parts. If Brandon is actively fighting for this marriage like you are, then yes, fight to the fullest. But if you're the only one fighting the battle and he's just waving his hands up, then girl, I don't know what else you want. Get your ducks in a row, just in case where you going to change your mind and not fight as much. Moving on. Latoya and Anthony, they have a date night to keep up the spice between one another, to have some alone time without the kids. Then they always talk about what's going on for the week. They always have a meeting of what's been going on. He has to attend a meeting with Atlanta soon. And every time he mentions Atlanta, he likes to give a disclaimer. I don't know I know you don't like to hear it. She's telling him, you don't have to keep saying that. I don't have a problem with Atlanta. I have a problem with the way you left for Atlanta. So Atlanta is not my issue. It's the way you left for Atlanta. You made a big decision to move to Atlanta. He said, I did not move. I was going back and forth. You packed up your shit. You bought a house. You moved to Atlanta. Point blank, period. And she's calling him out about his arrogance. That you think you can do what you want to do. At the same time, you forgot you had a wife and family. And I was dealing with a lot while you were gone for almost a year, 8 months. Dealing with the racism in the schools for our boys. They go to a suburban school. And I had to deal with that on my own. So there was a lot happening. I don't know what level of racism did her boys experience that she could not understand, and she could not soothe them, comfort them without having her husband there. So she needed him to be present. He said he would have been as present. He would have gone back and forth. That's not the same. You're in Atlanta, she's in Detroit. You're over a day and a flight away. So you cannot be there physically every day. You'll be taking flights damn near every night to be there, but that's not what you would have done. That's not being present. Because that's not how a father should be when it comes to being present. Going back and forth is not going to help deal with the problem that you have in your son's school. It's not going to deal with that. She didn't have the capacity to deal with it because apparently the level of the racism was about their kid's skin color. But what did it lead to? Cyberbullying, taunts, like what did it lead to? So the fact that he thought that maybe going back and forth would have been a better way, no, I need you physically here. And you weren't there. Because he thinks that they've gotten over it, but they haven't. He's looking at the support of when he wants to be something, he wants to do something, and she is not willing to hold him down. And if it's reversed, he would have held her down and she wanted to travel. But I'm just kind of like, Anthony, I don't even think that's the point. Like, Anthony says that he's over what happened, but I don't think he's over. I think the resentment is still there. He is upset that he missed out on working with Disney because he had to come home and deal with his family. When you just admitted to Brandon, you ignored that. You left your family to pursue a dream. You did. And now because your wife couldn't handle being at home with a demanding job as a doctor, dealing with 3 kids in the pandemic, that's a lot to take on, the stress of it, and you're not there to help. You're not there, even though Latoya admitted she took small things for granted while you were home, but it still does not absolve you that you left your family. You left your family. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't sit well with me that you're not understanding all the stress that Latoya had to deal with while being at home by herself with 3 kids in the pandemic. And you thought that it would have been a simple solution for you to go back and forth? No. Kobe and Russell, they do like a sports exercise because that's their thing. And he's trying to keep her on board with Divinity School. He had to find a way to tell her. And Kobe felt the way because her parents instantly defended Russell, which they did, because they wanted to understand his perspective instead of hers. And even though he was worried about telling her, because she had expressed her upbringing as a PK, and he didn't think that she was going to be happy about him becoming a pastor. Now, Russell is trying to put thoughts in Kobe's head about becoming a pastor, but then he switches up and says Army chaplain and pastor. She's like, which is it? You trying to be a chaplain or a pastor? He had to hurry up and say chaplain. Okay, we can start with a chaplain because a chaplain doesn't require a lot of responsibilities, a lot of commitment. But I feel like Russell wants to manipulate Kobe into believing that he's only going to be a chaplain. He's going to end up becoming a pastor. And the way that she is completely against not being a first lady, she does not want that lifestyle. Russell is not receiving the excitement and the support the way that he thought Kobe would have given him. But just like you said it, Russell, she expressed more than once. She has no desire of becoming a first lady. I don't know how you want to awaken the PK in her like she does with her parents, but she's not budging, okay? You want to present it as if the Lord guides me from the, not from me, but if the Lord turns me to the path of a chaplain and then I found my calling to be a pastor, I don't see that that's a problem. God will never lead us down to a path of wrongdoing, and I don't have time for this. I don't. Because the way that she was completely like not holding back of her desires of not being a first lady, Russell didn't like that. Russell thought that her father told her that no matter what happens, you need to just go along with your husband said, and she says, "No, I'm not doing that. Not doing that." And Russell, you knew that, but Russell is going to end up becoming a pastor. And Kobe, get your ducks in a row, baby, because you don't want to be in this marriage with him. This man is still trying to manipulate you and use the Lord against you, so that way you don't question what he needs to do, because he wants to throw God in it. I don't like that, because you need to make up your mind. You said army chaplain at first, and then you say pastor. Make up your mind. Don't like that. Don't switch up. But moving on from that, it ends with Latoya and Anthony. They go on a boat. They have some very close friends of theirs to show them the new Detroit. Anthony talks about how his parents and grandparents have always told him that Detroit is beautiful, but he never got to see it for himself. So on the boat, they talk about Atlanta, okay? And how he had a huge opportunity to do business deals and TV film to show Detroit. He's feeling the guilt that he did get up and leave his family without telling her. And he said he told her. She said, "You didn't tell me." I don't believe you told her. Then apparently he's heard from his parents and his in-laws that the way he left was not cool, and that you did leave your family. I'm sorry, the deadbeat dad comment, it could be a little bit truth in there when you left your family by themselves in the pandemic to pursue a dream. Now he wants to keep bringing that back in the day, the men that left the South to migrate to other places like Detroit for the sake of family. I want him to stop doing that. Stop bringing up forefathers, ancestors who left to pursue a dream and the family along with it. That was a time where women didn't have rights. That was a time women did not have a voice. But we're not in that time anymore. We're in 2023. We're in reality, Anthony. Your wife holds all the cards. Your wife carries more weight than you. So you could not use, if back in the day the man had the opportunity, the women went along with it. She can't do that because she holds more of the household. She holds more of the name of a breadwinner than you do. Like, you need to just admit that you wish to move freely and your wife will disagree, but she can't do that. She keeps saying they're moving on. They did therapy once a week, but there is some hidden issues. There is resentment. She is not really expressing how she felt, and Anthony doesn't want to admit what he did. Now, her father, who they call Bishop, I'm like, is Latoya PK? But apparently her father is way different than Kobe's dad, and I don't know if we're going to meet Christina's parents, because her father understood how she felt and understood that regardless of how this is a great opportunity, the way you left was not cool, because her father can understand both sides. But at the end of the day, he is going to pick his daughter's side. And that's where Anthony wished he got that support. He wished that her father would have just understood how he felt and told his daughter that this is how it goes, but that's not what he did. Since he understood how his daughter felt about this is where she lives, where her kids live, and you're trying to make a huge move without talking to me, yeah, that's the problem. He blows up. He feels that the attack has been on him about his decision. He feels like they were all attacking me, calling me a deadbeat, how I left my family when that's not what I was doing. I need everybody to have my back. I don't have that support. I don't have a lot of people. I depend on you, your sisters, your mom, your dad, everybody. I'm just like, Anthony, I'm not seeing no tears. I'm just seeing you get a very screechy voice. The way you went about it without having a full conversation to hear the support, you're just going to have to eat it. And now Latoya wants to act like she understood him, and that's all she wants to hear, but I find it's complete manipulation. You need to hold yourself accountable that you, in return, did want to leave. You did make the sacrifice to uproot yourself, to move to Atlanta for a job opportunity, and you expected for your wife to be there for you, but she wasn't. And since she told you you're going to come back home, you better come back home while you're married, because if you're not, we're getting a divorce. Because that's what Latoya practically meant. Because at the same point in time, you weren't thinking about me. You weren't thinking about the kids. You were thinking about you. So for him, want to use, I wish y'all had my back, because he expected for her father to check her. And that's not what he got. Her father is her father. He will look out for his baby before anybody else. Even if the things that she said could have been wrong, even if the way that she could be messing up. Parents, and the way that you went about it, oh yeah, blame is all on you, Anthony. You left my daughter. You left my grandchildren. Yeah, I don't look at you no different. You are a deadbeat dad to me. You are ain't shit as husband. I don't look at you no different. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have to fix, Anthony. But yeah, that's it. Again, I left off being upset again. Because, Anthony, you can miss me. I'm sorry. But y'all, that's it. That's all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.